Hey everyone, XPlayman here. I've been playing a lot of Roller Champions lately, and I've been playing a lot of the ranked. But what we found out from a devlog post from Roller Champions is how the ranked algorithm worked, and I thought I might want to take a look at that with you guys, and maybe encourage some of you who don't currently play ranked to get a better understanding for how it works and give it a try, because you might actually like it more than you think if you think ranked is all about being sweaty. Hey everyone, just wanted to take a second to thank our sponsor for this stream, Skillshare. Skillshare is a great learning community. It actually has millions of people using it who are learning creative things, like illustration or photography or cooking or web design, editing for like Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve or anything like that. So many of you guys too who are fellow streamers and content creators as well may find a lot to learn on Skillshare, including how to market yourself on TikTok. We've actually seen a couple of those courses on stream. But thank you for Skillshare. You can get 30% off your annual subscription using the link in the video description below. Just wanted to extend that to all of the YouTube viewers as well. Back to the video. Yes, obviously, if you're playing ranked, it's a more competitive mode, so you aren't like just casually running around and doing whatever aimlessly. That's, of course, a given. But if you've ever played a casual game and actually said, man, my teammates suck, or they're not doing this right, or that, or whatever, you might actually be looking for a more competitive play. But ranked might have seemed like a turnoff because you think about it in other games or games in general as being a super sweaty kind of mode. The way that ranked works is very important to understand because a lot of people get turned off by getting stomped in ranked. And the thing is, the more you play, the better the algorithm gets at pairing you with like-skilled players. So initially, you do 10 placement matches to figure out where you belong. But that's not necessarily an accurate representation of your skill. That's really trained across various skill levels to figure out where you belong. To start, the more you play, the better refined that gets. The starting point, that 10 placement matches is literally the starting point to start training the algorithm. That's it, the beginning. So you need to go through the meat grinder a little bit and play several games before it finally places you probably somewhere that's a little bit closer to your skill level. And then also it'll grow with you. The better you get at the game, you'll start to see yourself progress through the game. So how does it work? Firstly, let's talk about actually the divisions, because you have overall 7 divisions. And within those divisions, there are subdivisions. For Garage, there's 5 subdivisions. For Local, there's 5 subdivisions. For Inner City, there's 5 subdivisions. Those are the 3 lowest divisions in the skill rating. Then you have Regional, which has 3 subdivisions, and National has 3 subdivisions. Those are like the 2 middle ones. Then you have World Champion and Elite Champion, and of course they're the highest ranked players. Now, of course, when you take a look at all the subdivisions within all these divisions altogether, you might notice everything is stacked more towards the bottom areas, as it probably should. So if you're playing local, it's probably not like that you're a terrible player. The average from a post I was seeing earlier is about local 3. Of course, that's going to fluctuate over time. But if you're above local, you're a good player still. If you're a Garage player, learning and growing, but the more you play the game, you're just going to get better. So it's important to know that the algorithm is there based on your history. Now, how does ELO adjust over time? And I'm going to call it ELO because it's basically like the Rainbow Six Siege system, which they actually say in their devlog. It's basically like Rainbow Six Siege. They matchmake teams within 1,000 ELO of each other. Once you have your team made up, the algorithm then gives your team an average team ELO. And then it'll match you up with someone else's average team ELO being within 1,000 of that. So in theory, this is the worst case extreme scenario and unlikely, but technically possible. You could have someone on one team who has 1,000 ELO, someone who has 2,000, and someone who has 1,500. That average team ELO will be 1,500. And then you'll have someone who has 2,000 elo, 3,000 elo, and 2,500 elo for an average of 2,500 elo paired up, and that's team 2. So in theory, you could have a team with 1,500 elo versus a team with 2,500 elo, which means you could have the 1,000 elo player versus someone who's got 3,000. Technically, that's an extreme. That's the most extreme scenario. What the algorithm tries to do is get the numbers closer together. You won't sit there forever trying to do a ranked match, but it will try to get you close enough to at least get a game going, and then you can get a result, which feeds the algorithm. Now, how does your ELO change? Based on your team ELO and your individual ELO, the algorithm makes a prediction as to who is going to win the match. And based on the prediction being right or wrong, determines how much ELO you gain or lose from winning or losing. So if it was a game that you were expected to win by the algorithm's consideration, which it all does that behind the scenes, if it expected you to win and you win, you'll gain some ELO. Not a lot based on the deviation from that average team ELO, but you'll gain some ELO. If you lose a game you were expected to win, you're probably going to lose even more ELO than you would have gained from winning. And the same happens the reverse way. If it's a game that the algorithm expected you to lose, well, then winning means you're going to gain a lot of ELO. And then losing means you're not going to lose as much ELO because the algorithm already expected it. Now, in an ideal situation, the score could be very close to where the algorithm can't make a prediction as to who will win. And in those scenarios, winning and losing doesn't equal as much of a gain or loss. But in theory, it should be a more fun experience for you playing the game. So this is the system. It works really well in Rainbow Six Siege, I believe, and it's just a matter of getting more players playing ranked. I think you might actually enjoy playing ranked, but you do have to endure the meat grinder early on. The algorithm doesn't know enough about you to put you into the right place until you play more games. 10 games is just for placement. That's not for really training the algorithm, that's just for placement to get started. After that, more games will equal better accuracy and pairing you up with similar skilled players. It's still early in the game. You just have to endure it in the beginning, but eventually it'll work out to where you'll have better matches and also possibly learning opportunities as you grow as a Roller Champions player. Admittedly, there are problems right now. The game crashes a lot. You're not in a position to lose from there. And the game crashed. Well, hopefully we didn't lose Elo. We were like right there on the knocking on the door of Regional 1. So in Quick Match, if a player crashes, the game replaces the crashed player who's no longer in the game with a bot. Because it's ranked play, they can't replace that real life player with a bot. And sometimes when people crash during the loading screen, they're not able to reconnect to the game. The good thing is that if you do crash during the game, reloading the game should put you right back into it. But the moment that you crash during the loading screen, it could mean that a game starts 2v3 or 1v3. So that's something that they addressed in their devlog post, where they said that they are basically, for simplicity's sake, let's say adding modifiers based on, okay, was this team short-handed or not? Because somebody disconnected during the loading screen. It seems to be basing it more on the game starting that way, and not so much someone being disconnected in the middle of the match and having to reconnect. So there are little factors as well. If you play Roller Champions ranked, at least it's a good way of feeding the algorithm now. But I wouldn't also take the ranking all that seriously, especially if you're experiencing a lot of crashes. It's just good to find where you're positioned at. So what they're prioritizing right now, the developers, is to come up with a patch that will fix the crashes, especially ones that are affecting the ranked experience. They're also looking to improve the reconnect, which I believe, because the reconnect feature works well, at least when I've crashed in the middle of the game, I've been able to reconnect back into the game immediately. But it seems like they're probably working on how to get players back in who crashed during the loading screen. They've also scaled back any of the ban penalties from being disconnected because of the crashing problem right now, the disconnect, but those will come back in as the game becomes more stable. And then the algorithm is going to consider those matches that start 1v3, 2v3 versus a proper 3v3 start. So these are some of the changes that they're looking at. They're aware of the problem, of course, and they're addressing it. They might have actually fixed some of these things all because this post was 2 days old, but the ranked experience should be improving overall. And I don't think that people should be discouraged from trying ranked because they just assume that it's all sweaty all the time. You just got to remember the algorithm is trying to figure out where you belong. In the beginning, you're probably going to find a lot of matches where you're getting destroyed because someone is super high rank and the algorithm doesn't know enough about you specifically. I wouldn't make that discourage you from trying it anymore. Check it out. You might want some ranked play, like I said, if you're maybe playing a lot of casual, but getting a little bit upset about the results or maybe the team play. You might actually want to play some ranked. It's just, you have to understand, you're training the algorithm. You're going to get your butt kicked a lot in the beginning. And at the same time, you're going to stomp some people as well while it's trying to position you in a more accurate ranking or elo. Thanks, guys. Check out the stream for more Roller Champions. We've been playing that on stream. I'm going to be playing some more of it because it's such a fun game. It's very competitive. And one thing that's brilliant about Roller Champions is how simple it is to understand the concept of, but there's complexities in how you play it and how you perfect your gameplay. There's a lot of room for perfecting that gameplay. So I've been having a lot of fun playing Roller Champions. I think you should too. And also maybe get into some ranked as well. All right, take care, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.